welcome everybody at home and then here in the studio. I'm sorry about the change in the schedule. I told you it was inevitable. We were going to shoot the musical outside and I can't control the weather. Geronimo thinks I can, but it's just not true. Yeah, we're going to get a giant tarp and cover the whole area. Our goal is to shoot next Friday at my house, and again the call time will be 2, but look at the announcements. You are all the smart ones who were paying attention and saw that we changed. I hope no one shows up at my house and bugs my wife today, but the musical is going to be postponed a week, and therefore I think Grayson's film, the murder one with the horror one, will be pushed back another week. So just a reminder for those of you who want to direct, I need your scripts and shot lists sooner to get on the schedule. We're going to lose time real quickly, and you need time to edit. So hurry up. Okay, so just no pressure, but yeah, get it in. So today we switched to the 3-point lighting, and Nick came here a little early, and so he helped me kind of pre-set up. Right now we have just fluorescent lights and a little bit of illumination from the control room, and that's all going to go away in a minute. This is bad lighting. At home you can probably see how bad it is, but 3-point lighting is a good thing to know. It's one of those things that if you've ever had an English teacher who says you got to know the rules to break the rules, it's the same thing with lighting. 3-point lighting is perfect. It's what you should strive for, unless you're going to do some kind of genre where you want an effect, and we're going to do that today. We're going to see 3-point lighting and how good it looks, and then we're going to start tweaking things to give kind of different effects. Okay, 3-point lighting. I'm going to push you. This is how well you can remember. What are the 3 points of 3-point lighting?
So 3-point lighting, it's just as simple as that is. There's 3 lights. You're going to have your primary light, which is your key lighting. That's going to be your hottest one, focus on whatever you're recording. Then you're going to have your fill lighting. It's going to be kind of similar to your key, but it kind of helps just fill the area, as I said. And then your final one will be your backlighting. So that's what fills the back. That's often common to cast shadows and things like that.
Yeah, so the key light is the most intense light, and it can be the most intense. These are dimmable fluorescents, dimmable LEDs. So they're very, very powerful. So you can just make sure that this one's more intense. But if you have lights that are not dimmable, that one should be closer. The key light should be closer. It's the one that's most intense. And just a second, I'll get somebody to strike those lights while we strike. In fact, why don't I be the subject? Will you strike that light? Striking. And will someone strike the house lights over there?
Striking.
Oh, right as I was looking at it.
You call. Just click
Yeah,
down.
both. Okay. And the other one. There we go. Okay, the only light source now is our key light. And man, is that intense. What is it now? You said 60?
It was at 40. It's at 30 now.
Okay. I see none of you. I seen a giant ring because I was looking at the light. So one of the things that Nick said, and the dumb professor didn't pay attention to, is before you turn on any light, you yell striking. That means that we're going to turn on the light, and if you're somewhat intelligent, you don't look right at it as they turn it on. They're very intense. I'm starting to see a little better now. Did you turn it down or?
I'm sure.
No. My eyes are adjusting. Because they are very intense. But can you focus this right on my face? It looks a little bit like, yeah. So the key light, if you notice, is on one side. The key's never straight on, it's on one side or the other. And if you see my right side of my face is very bright. And then the left side of my face is much less, it's darker. I can't really see the image. In fact, now can we, yeah, we turn it on and you can watch the monitor. And Jason will frame it so that we can see it at home. We have a monitor, but the one thing that I'm looking at right now is I can see that this is very, very bright and this is very dark. Not ideal. It's maybe in a horror film this might work or something, but we have our key, and then once we get the camera up, we'll show you the difference with the fill. So while he's setting up, the lights sit on C-stands. Check the class page. There's a whole thing about how to use C-stands, the arms and where to put the sandbags and opening and everything. So there's a whole bit on that. We'll talk about that some as we're adjusting. Okay, so this is our key light. And with just the key light, it's very intense. We're going to talk about diffusion in a bit, which will make this all look better. But right now, this is our key light. Let's strike the fill light. The fill light, the big thing is that it's the opposite side and less intense. If this is at, would you say that 40%?
That's 25 now.
25%. This is a little farther, the fill will be a little farther away, and it's also should probably be about 10%. And then you'll see that this dark side of my face will light up a little bit. It will still be brighter on this side, but it will fill in some.
Striking.
Okay, so that's too intense. What is that?
That's 15 now.
Yeah, go to 10 and aim it at my face. And if you're watching the monitor, I can't see it, so you got to get to where you can see. You can see that this side is still more lit up, and this side is a little less so. That gives me some depth of field. It's more interesting than if one light is straight on. A straight on light makes my image seem very flat, and this is giving some dimension, some interest to the shot. So a stronger key light and a less intense fill light. Does that make sense? Okay, Nick. Now the third part of this again is the backlight, and you have to push upper left. The backlight will create light on create a hairline and light on my shoulders.
Striking.
And with these being so intense, I'm not sure how well you see that, but aim at me. It also gives kind of some depth and some interest. It's really important to have a backlight in a 3-point lighting, because again, it makes it less shallow and more depth. And let's strike the key light since you're there, and you can probably see the backlight a little better.
Saving.
You know what? Is this aimed on me?
You want to aim?
Yeah, you know what? Take the diffusion off, because that's maybe why it's. Yeah, okay, now with the diffusion gone, you can see the light on my shoulders and the back of my head a little bit. This shot has the fill light, which without the key light, this is actually becomes the key light. That's my major light. And then if we wanted to make that the fill, it would have to be much less intense. So that, but anyways, by Nick striking or saving that light, I've gone from, instead of having the bright on this side, now the key's over here and I have the brighter side on this side. But can we all see the backlight and the effect it has on me? Yeah. So it's the combination of these three that is considered the strike the key light again.
Great.
It's the combination of these three lights that are considered to be kind of perfect lighting for interviews or kind of and we're going to alter all of these. Let's do a few things. So first of all, I can't see you. So if you're raising your hand or have a,
I have a question.
yes.
So do you have a goal with like in film, do they have a goal usually with the shadows? Like, do they want to get rid of the shadows or do they want to have just one particular shadow or is it not really?
So essentially, that's what we're doing now. With a strong key light, my left side of my face is a little bit in shadow.
Oh, I meant like your like the shadow behind you. If there's like a wall behind you.
Yeah, I happen to be close to the wall and it's a white wall and so that's not ideal. We could go up higher with the lights and make the shadows go lower. There are things that you can do to lessen the shadows, but if I just simply got away from the wall farther, we start to see the shadows a little bit less. If we raise these up, they go down. So if you're worried about the look of shadows, that's some of the things you can do.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And the second you start to use diffusion, the shadows lessen. They become less pronounced. Right now, this is all hard light, direct light sources at me. And so there are lots of ways. How can you soften? That's kind of the term we use, soften the light.
I saw that you had like in the first day you had put a light through like that window.
Yeah, we're going to do that, but it was still a hard light, and we're going to do a film noir look today too. And there's a specific look you want: hard shadow and light lines. How do I take something that's this intense and not, I'm not changing the brightness, but make it softer so it's not so hard?
Maybe movie like an animal or something?
Yeah, so one thing is to bounce the light. So let's do this. Can you strike the backlight and the fill light? So I am essentially getting bounce light now. It's bouncing off a wall, and light is, it doesn't end at one spot. It will kind of bounce around. And so when you bounce light against a white surface, it goes off in different directions and different angles. So you stand there without blocking. You can come here. Okay, I'm going to swing the light around, so watch your eyes. So now Nick is going to bounce the light at me. And in fact, I'm going to go. This is indirect light. And if you notice, this is much softer than the direct light. Okay.
See if I block this, how different it is. And if it's just direct, now I can bounce it.
Yeah. So you can bounce light. And the other thing that you can do too is, okay, we're back to a key. The other thing, I'm just going to create my own fill. And you see how can you see my face? See how it's dark there? And I'm simply bouncing some light in on the opposite side of my face. It's kind of like a fill, depending on how close and far away it is. But essentially, I can, if I'm close enough, my left side of my face is almost as bright as the key side of my face. So I can control this light by bouncing it onto my face. And I don't have a fill light, I'm bouncing my fill. The other thing that they do sometimes is they call a negative bounce. And instead of a white card, you take black. So if I have too much light on this side and I want more of an edge line on my nose, you can take a black card. Wouldn't need to because it's so harsh. I mean, it's so well lit and so dark here, but you could take a negative fill and it would absorb a lot of that light. So my face would get darker, if that makes sense. I'm getting some bounce because of a white wall. So, and there's some light here. But anyways, the angle of the light and bouncing the light is one way to make it softer. How else?
Use a filter.
Yeah, filters, a term usually used for cameras. Diffusion is a way of making it softer. So we're going to show you, we're going to set up a softbox for the key. Has this changed it much?
So all you guys that are there, you're gonna wanna look at this monitor because it's a way different perspective of the camera's capturing than what you're seeing right now with your eyes.
Yeah, I mean, you have less, like, there's a little contrast from the side of your system.
Yeah, so this is called a softbox. What a softbox is, it still has the one light source, but it has reflectors around the edge. So it is bouncing the light a little bit. So it's, instead of straight light, you get some coming at different angles, right? So that is making it a bit softer. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to use diffusion. We're going to add a silk to the light itself, the softbox. Okay, so I still have more light on the key side, but it is softer. The light is now coming from a lot of different angles because it's being diffused, which creates kind of a blanket of light, which starts to wrap around my face. So if you put diffusion on your key light, fill light, and backlight, everything seems kind of smoother and warmer and nice. Not warmer because that's color, but it fills the image and gives you kind of a better look. So we've simply diffused this, and we can do it by bouncing, and we can put diffusion on the light itself, or we can have diffusion that's not actually attached to the light. We can have shoot through silks. There are, it's basically kind of like a silky material like sheets or something that's on a steel frame that you can hold out in front of the light. So essentially you're shooting the light through something that diffuses it, if that makes sense. You can tell that. What were you before at 40?
I was at 40, we're at 80 now.
80. So it does take the intensity down. So we still want this to be our key. We've got to turn up the intensity. But this gives us, I mean, this is just the key and it already looks better. You want to strike the fill? Now, actually, it almost seems like the key because it's so intense.
We're at 10%.
Can you bring it to as low as it goes? Not off. There we go. So that's a little more like a fill. I think that if this is diffused, and we were trying to get the perfect shot, we would want to diffuse that. Let's say we don't have another soft box, so let's diffuse it in a different way. So now I feel that the fill side is too dark, so let's bring it up to, what is that? That's 10? 10. So this is 80 for your key light and 10 for the fill light. Does that look good? Let's see what the backlight does. So let's put the diffusion on the backlight. Okay, so this is pretty close to great lighting. If you're going to do an interview, you want your subject to look good. It's impossible to make me look good, but not going to get any better than with this lighting. Because we have a diffused key light, we have a diffused fill light, and a diffused backlight. So anyone have any questions about the things that I was talking about or Nick was doing? Yes,
So on the first day when you had the light coming through there, you had it kind of simulating daylight. Is there a specific light you use for that? Or
so it's color temperature. So it's measured in kelvins. Outside temperature is 3,200 kelvins, which is a blue light. When you are inside, it's 5,400 kelvins, which is a more orange look. And that's how, on camera, if the light is daylight, and it can look really strange if one light is at 3,200 and another one's at 5,400, unless you're trying to simulate sunlight coming through a window and then a lamp, for example. These are all right now daylight balanced. That means they're 3,200, that they are a bluer or they look kind of whiter. And then when you go to, I'm just going to show you as I turn this. I'm going to go right at the camera, but so that's 3,200, that's 5,400. And can you see the difference? Yeah. And this you can go in between them. So if you want different color temperatures, they can change. So you want to keep them consistent if it's all supposed to be outdoor, a light source. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then one of the things that we were doing is, I think the first day, I'm kind of mixing shoots together. One of the things we wanted to do is get sunset. So we were putting orange or red gels on the light because, you know, as the sun lowers in the atmosphere, it's now filtered. It's like diffusion, but it's all the smog and junk in the air, which makes it turn more orange. So if you see the moon, for example, and it's straight above head, it's pretty white. It's pretty light color. As it gets lower on the horizon, more of the stuff in our atmosphere is creates a kind of an orange look. So at sunset, same thing. If you don't look at the sun, but if you looked at it straight above, it's a lot whiter than when it's just about to set, where it becomes more orange. So we were simulating sunset by making the light more orange. Yeah. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So as I said before, this is perfect lighting. Sophie, how often do you want perfect lighting in your movies?
Maybe a quarter of the time.
A quarter. Well, so 3/4 of the time we want to mess things up.
Maybe not messed up, but I like to play with colors and do all sorts of funky stuff.
Yeah, so we're going to do that now. We're going to create some funky stuff. We're going to have some genres, and we're going to kind of emulate a look. We will use a lot of the same tools, the same types of lights. I'm going to have a session where I talk about all the different types of lights. Kino flows, which is dimmable fluorescence. These are 2 different types of dimmable LEDs, and I have others that I can show you. But we'll use incandescent 1K lights. We'll use a variety, and then we'll also use practicals. And Sophie and Nick can't say anything, but anyone else know what a practical is?
It's like a candle in the sky.
Exactly, and I brought some practicals. So can we strike that Bill? Striking, saving. So here's a light. This should go on. Okay, so So right now, all I have is my backlight, which is. Kind of lighting up the wall more than I would like to, would probably flag that off. But you should be seeing my hairline and my shoulders lit up. Can't see my face, I'm basically a silhouette, but I might have a flashlight. And you know, that's that whole scary thing, or I might shine it right at the camera. And you get it kind of an effect. This is a practical. This is a light that's seen within the frame. We try really hard to hide the lights that are lighting up our subjects. But there's times when we have lights that are within the frame. So horror films, a lot of times there's a flashlight. We're gonna do a romantic scene and we might have a candle. Can someone grab that lamp that's over there? Lamps, televisions, if you're happy to see the sun or some kind of light, if you think about, thank you. If you can see we don't have power, but it's right in front of my face or that camera. But if this lamp was on, it could be creating a light and you could see it. So this is a practical. Real life light sources. The thing about practicals is a lot of times it will create the light source and you see a little bit of light from it, but you use that as your motivation for all other lights, if that makes sense. So I might, for example, have a light here. Yeah, is that a Stinger, that white one? So I can't tell. Can you see this light?
Yeah, it's-
You want it out of frame?
yeah,
Yeah, I don't just, but essentially, you can see this lamp. Maybe a little farther back. I'm looking at this one, I'm not looking at that one. So that's the one that we really care about. But essentially, that's good. Just aim it at me and we're good. So this is our practical. It's probably, I think I put a 25-watt bulb in it. So it's not very bright, but clearly you can see the light in it. But this is essentially our motivation for another light source, which we use. I'm trying to use the same color temperature because of this orange thing. It's very orange. So I went to 5400 Kelvin. So it's a more orange light. But this is our light source. If I were to, pull a string and the light would come on, that would be I might have a real light up there. So essentially, if I have sun coming through a window, I would use that as my light source, and I would add lights that would simulate that's the light source in the room. Does that make sense?
How do they shoot, like, if they wanna shoot a specific time of the day, do they have to, like, cause I mean, the sun is always moving, so, and it takes a long time to shoot, do they just have to go back, like, the every day at the same time, or what?
So we shot David Butterfield's horror film at my house last semester. And it was a night shoot. It was a horror film, so we wanted it dark out. So we filmed from 10 in the morning until dark. And we blacked out all the windows except for one, and then the one, we built a big black box around the window so we could control the lighting. So it was always from the same angle. We didn't have to worry about anything because, you know, there was no light coming in except for the light that we created. I have a room that would be impossible to shoot during the day because I have a giant bank of windows. So if I want to shoot in my living room at night, it has to be night because I can't even begin to. So in professional shoots, when they want to do that, sometimes they use ND filters. It's like a gel that has color in it, but it's basically kind of a dark gray, almost a black type gel. And it for every layer, it's one stop, and it makes it one level darker. So you have to have multiple layers. And the other thing is, you can, if you can see the windows, you have to put it in exactly, or you'll see that. So it's really complicated and difficult to do. Sometimes they'll actually remove glass and put in like black glass, so it looks like it's dark outside. And sometimes you can do things with exposure. So all the old Westerns, if you watch the old black and white Westerns, they were all shot at noon in the middle of the day. It was black and white. So first of all, you didn't know, the color didn't change, but the sun looks the same as moonlight if the moon was above. And so, you know, you could get away with it. So there's some things you can do, but a lot of it, you have to take steps to. What's nice about this is this room is completely, once we close that door, there'll be no outside light coming in. So we can manipulate the light any way we want. Yeah. So if we're going to shoot a horror film, sometimes this is a better spot than if you're going to shoot a horror film during the day, this is better than shooting on location, which can be difficult to eliminate that unwanted light.
I've heard that, like, I don't know if this is true or not, but that like more professional movies, like, will shoot a lot of night scenes during the day and just use a filter so that on the camera, so that it's like, is that true?
It can be, and the old Westerns were an example. It's tough to get a good look if there's color, because things change. The main thing is where your light comes in, but then there's a lot of the stuff that you do, you can do in post, as long as the light source looks authentic when you film it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's when you're filming, you got to make sure that if it's supposed to be light through a window, that looks real. If it's supposed to be a lamp, that's where the light is coming. If you have a practical in there, but a bunch of light is coming from places where there's not supposed to be light, then that makes it look unrealistic and you can't use it. So it's not an easy thing to do, and I'll give you an example. David Butterfield last semester shot a film on green screen. We filmed it here, we used that wall, and we lit him. And then he basically put an outdoor setting where they're counting chickens. I think that was the name of the film, was Counting Chickens. And it just didn't look right. The lighting didn't look like the sun and daylight. It looked synthetic. And so even though you can't point to it and say, well, that's just wrong, the overall look just didn't quite seem right. And it's because it's not easy to make, when you're filming inside, to make it look like it's sunlight. So you have to really think about that. It's sometimes just easier to film when the time of day you want to, unless you can block out unwanted light. Any other questions on equipment or 3-point lighting or anything that we've been talking about? Yeah, so I can't, is that gels? So we've talked about putting diffusion, which is this, you can't see this. Can you operate that camera? So diffusion, it is a silk in front of a light. So, for those of you at home who haven't seen this, this is the soft box, and it has a silk in front of it. If you can you pan to that light? And I'm gonna strike this just. General illumination striking. So. This is a light with diffusion in front, and this softens the light. But it's just white. It's not creating any color whatsoever. If it's black, the ND filters, that doesn't create any color at all. But sometimes we want to change the color of the light. As Sophie said, sometimes we want to get funky. So if we want to change the color of the light, we might actually, can you strike that now? We've now changed the color of the light to give a very different look. So I'm gonna saving. So this is a weird look, almost like a science lab or some kind of freaky thing. I have a orange practical and then a green gel. So gels are material with color that you put in front of the light to change the color of the light. And yes, you can do some of this in post with color correction, but it's not the same. It's not as if you want to try to create the look of your film as much as you possibly can practically with lights and colors and intensity and direction and all of that. So that's green. What other gels are over there that you have?
Some red and a switch.
Yeah. So that's back to our 32. And now there's a red gel, which gives it, I don't know, creepy, like a murder scene or red light district or I don't know what is red. What?
I was gonna comment that I also seen those lights, but when they're shooting outside or something, like on like, it's like a New York movie or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like the sun.
Yeah, so I think it was 2 years ago, we shot a scene from a movie called Pepper, and Sophie was an android running from a police officer, and we were trying to get the neon look, the color, and we actually used, it was kind of a purple and a green combination to get the look, and it got cut from the film when I was sad because I thought that the look looked really good, and it was just the color of the light. And we were simulating street lights, so the lights were kind of high and overhead coming down, but it was not just plain old 32 or 54K. It had the gel in front of it that really kind of changed the look. The film that we shot, Dream Loop, which we saw in the editing class last night, that he had practicals that were red in the room, and when the power went out, suddenly the room had a very different feel, different look, and it was because of those small red bulb lights that he had in the room. So the color of the light can really make a big difference.
You wanna kind of like follow color theory as well when you do like color lights.
Yes, well, the rule of thumb is 3200 is outside light. And it can be moonlight, it can be sunlight, it's the same. We sometimes put blue gel in front of moonlight to accentuate it. Then incandescent lights, this is 5400 and probably a little more orange because it's going through this weird shade. But then if you have other colors, it's for an effect. you're trying to create some kind of look or whatever. It's not, it stops being realistic looking. It starts to give it kind of a feel or some kind of mood.
And you employ color theory to make those looks. Like there's a really good TV show called Utopia. And they use color theory a lot to have like a psychological effect on the viewer.
Yeah. Cool. So, any other questions before we start doing our practical examples?
Scrims?
Scrims are not, they're more for 1K lights, which we'll have to do in another example, but let me show you a different kind of so I talked about a variety of dimmable fluorescents. This is, I'm sorry, different dimmable LEDs. This is also an LED light, but on it are these barn doors. That's what these are called. And they're used to kind of manipulate the light. For example, if like I'm shooting at a subject and I want the light to be lit down, I might close it up like this so all the light is down low. I might, so essentially I can shape the light some with the barn doors. The incandescent lights, the 1K lights that we'll use, they're not dimmable. They are 1,000-watt bulb. They're unbelievably bright, and they also get so hot that you can't touch the lights without gloves. But because the light is so bright, so intense, and you don't always want it at 100%. What did you say this was? You had it.
Is it 80 now, or was that 30 earlier?
Yeah, so the most with the diffusion and the silk, you had it at 80. And then you brought it all the way down, and that one's at 10 now.
10.
Yeah, so we're lucky because we can dim those. When you have 100% of the intensity of your light, how do you bring the intensity down? Well, scrims are one of the most common ways. And behind the barn doors, you're able to put this essentially steel mesh in front of the light, and it brings them down. I have full stops, and I can put 3 in, so I can essentially take it down from 100% to 90% to 80% to 70%. Or I can do, they have half stops and quarter stops, so I can do 1.5 or whatever. So that's how you, instead of dimming it, you actually use scrims to cut the light to some degree. It doesn't shape it, it doesn't diffuse it, it doesn't do anything other than cut the amount of light that comes out of. It does, by the way, trap some of the heat in the light. So when you diffuse a light, it gets even hotter. And that's why they're steel. And you want to make sure when we use the 1Ks, we might actually use a 1K on Sophie's shoot to simulate a street light. But when we do, if you're one of the ones who are working with the light, you make sure you have some gloves on because it can get outrageously hot.
Remember with 1K, not use things like the plastic gels or whatnot, because they can.
No, you can use gels. You just have to, the barn doors are a lot longer than that. They're much farther away. And if they're in a tight spot, they do burn. I mean, I'll show you. In fact, I bet you there's some stat. Is that one?
Yeah.
Well, can we get it over here, sweet? So, yeah, so you can see that this is a heavier, normally gels are a little more thinner material. Yeah. This is thicker, but even the thicker one, when you put it on a 1K, it can get really, really hot and melt the gel. So you have to be aware of that. I have a different kind, an HMI light, which is it's 2 bulbs, each of them 1K in 1,000 watts. So you can't just plug it into any outlet because it'll trip the breaker on a 15 amp circuit. But they run so hot that they actually have these metal flaps that protect the bulbs because they're like $180 for one of the bulbs. And one of my students once turned it on with the metal protectors over the bulbs, and it melted the metal in about 5 seconds. And I'll show it to you next time I get a chance. But the incandescent lights get really, really hot. They're very, powerful, way more power. I can touch this bulb because it's only 25 watts, no big deal. You start to make it 1,000 watts, and it's a bit different. So what I was thinking, we could do romance, we could do film noir, we could do what was the other one? Horror, and then do a scene from, that's why I brought the bottle. So you were gonna play drunk and or wasted type of, that's the scene you showed me, is she's out of it. So and that's backlit. So either spot or backlit, and we might do a kind of a combination. So which do we want to do? Do we want to do a romantic scene first? Do we want to do, we're gonna do 2, 3, 4 of them. What should we do first?
Romantic, I would say. It's
Okay.
more popular.
Okay. So at home, give us some time. Sophie's gonna change into a costume and we're gonna create the lighting. So we're gonna work on this for a bit. So okay, so let's pick a scene. We have 3 walls. How do we want to what kind of scenario would this be? Oh, okay, dinner. So if we were gonna have 2 chairs, and here's where everybody can be involved. Let's all get together and do this. So can we strike that light?
So on the top left of that, there's a power button on the black.
Push and hold.
Top left, oh, the face of it. There's a dial on, it's just the top left of that. Push it, hold it, there you go. And always remember to stay saving when you're turning the light off on set and striking when you're on light. And that light you're there with right now, that's the Godox, that spin wheel right there, that's what it adjusts the brightness. Not the temperature, the brightness of the light.
Yeah, like this.
Yeah, you literally just spin it like a
Looks like this. Looks a little off. I'm not sure where it is. It's not perfectly aligned. That's one.
Can we go, let's bring the camera down.
Yep. Yeah, that's much better right there. You get the hard shadow right there, so.
That's this. What's creating that? That's this.
Yep.
You're backwards knee punching in.
Is this seeming romantic? Or is this?
Too bright.
Yeah, I think the lighting is too like, yeah.
Down part, yeah.
Hey, who's sitting beside her?
No, and that's why it's romantic.
It's self-love.
Yeah.
Oh,
Do you want?
It's probably just two people looking at each other.
Yeah, okay, go for it.
You're a little underdressed.
Yeah. Can you take your hoodie off?
Yeah. Well, you wanna take my sweater off? Or?
Yeah. He should be in a suit or.
Hello.
She just heads out, she heads out the door. Right. Like first date.
yeah, it's even awkward for.
Yeah.
We'll adjust them.
Do you want me to change the Kelvin on this?
No. Okay. So the nice thing about red is it records everything. It's unlike all other cameras. You don't white balance.
Yeah,
You don't worry about the color because it records everything and you can do everything in post.
oh, yeah.
This is the only camera that does that.
So what type of footage is this? It's not just plain raw then?
It records in
Oh,
raw and records, yeah,
Yeah.
so it's. It would pan slightly to the right. Yeah. there. Now, I wish there was a candle or some kind of practical. And anything else that you would do for lighting?
It
You know
feels
what you
like
should?
darkling in
You got one of
between.
those like little cake candle ones that like buy out.
Yeah, but I didn't know this candle wouldn't work and I was hoping to have it in frame. It'd be nice to have it really is, or something behind the couch.
Yeah.
Because the white wall between you is not great.
Also seems kind
And
of
it-
dark in between them.
Also, we don't see the painting. Let's Hollywood it. Okay, so when we say action, we're going to. Actually, you know what? Can we set it on the couch? How weird is it if it's? That's weird.
No, just frame it right, that's the back window of a restaurant. That's out looking out in New York.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Be pretty interesting, actually. It'd be like a window looking out the year.
Hey, did you guys all hear Graham mention about Hollywooding it? Do you know what that means?
Higher.
So that means
Get like a-
you fake it, you hold it or something, so if we needed this lower for just a shot, but we didn't have a way to mount it or adjust it. Well, me and another person could stand here if we're out of frame, we can literally just hold it still. Like the moment the director would just say action, we would just stay as still as possible. That's Hollywooding it.
Yeah,
You
so
can do
let's
the same.
Hollywood it, 10 inches off the couch. And let's say, okay, we're writing the scene as a class. Let's say this is like a first date and it's a little awkward. And then we see them kind of warm up to each other and become more, and they're not gonna say anything. They're not gonna touch each other, but they're just with their looks, we're gonna see that this is becoming more romantic. Yeah? All right. We're gonna raise, tell us when is it a good level, higher, lower?
A little higher. And right there, your hands in frame.
So. Yep,
It's a little bit crooked.
Yeah, it's perfect. There.
up or down, that's good,
Right there.
okay. Say, let's roll camera
Roll cameras, camera speed,
and let's do action. Don't look at me, look at her.
action.
Be forewarned, this is romantic.
Can we talk while we're?
Yes, we're not recording audio.
So, yeah, we have, although it's kind of like weird, it's like, it should be like, having that groups. Like, just, I don't know, because you can't really talk. So, I don't know, I would
You
just.
see my hand?
Let's cut. You just see the person's hand coming in front of you.
Can we do a shot where you're kind of looking straight ahead and kind of looking over? And then at one point you both kind of look and lock eyes and bring your faces together like you're on the verge of kissing, and then we're gonna cut. Yes,
What if somebody laughs, like when they laugh like this, and they know it's awkward, so it's kind of like if people laugh in awkward moments, like we're both here.
Like, for example, I had an idea, I don't know, it's too much, but it's like, when like you're trying to break the ice. I would just play like, I don't know, is there something silly, but I would say like, play like rock, paper, scissors. And then whoever, loses, then, you know, like, in motion, you know, like, oh, like, we're like.
is that, we're not after humor, we're after romance.
Yeah, right.
Let's-
Well,
So I mean, it's
so
a-
I'm just saying that actually, like, you're like playing the game. And then whoever loses, it kind of sparks like a happy emotion. And then
do you
get
rock,
more-
paper, scissors a stranger? Not a stranger, but a new person. I mean, that's something you do with a boyfriend or girlfriend. I don't know.
It's a fine idea because,
Yeah.
like, you can't really dialogue, so you have to do like hand gestures or like certain things.
Definitely an interesting way to break the ice on the first.
Like,
Just can't talk because we're not recording audio. But this is a look,
well, you can't.
and if ideally you would have wine glasses or something, so you're. But
You're laughing.
here's gotta be the looks.
And then the little-
We've done all we can with light, so now it's gotta be up to the actors to sell romance.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes, please.
What if when, like, once they start feeling warmer towards each other, they were to sort of shift, like, to sit, like, shift their knees closer to each other, so it's like they're. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like more facing each other.
Yeah. Does that make sense? So you're starting off, you're a little awkward, and so you're straight ahead, and then as you start to turn, then when you really do it, you're now facing each other. You could almost bring a knee up and so that you're totally squared up and facing each other this way. Yeah, okay, good.
Let's roll it.
Okay.
all
Just it's a little tilted,
Which way?
up,
No, you.
okay, right, right there, it's good, okay. Camera speed. Action.
Yeah. And cut. Okay, let's do playback. Let's see, we can all watch the monitor now and see if we were happy with it or move on.
hand the couch.
Would you like to show them on the Zoom call?
Oh, yeah. Watch this. Oh,
Yeah. Honestly, I thought we were getting.
I just got I'm like hyper aware because I just got this one done.
And then you got the loop.
I have had the loop for a long time, but I just.
okay, this is what we just filmed, and, okay, so it's nice there, you can't see the fact that we're holding the paintings, they're kind of awkward, I love that. When they look at each other, I love how he's moving his hand. He's the one who breaks it by turning and facing. He scoots more forward.
How you doing? Well, that's cool. Oh, how we doing? Dang.
Like how the game just.
Perfect, good, got romance done, okay. So, looking at this right now, we have this is our key light, but it's way down and it's severely diffused. I have kind of another little lower light, and then we have the practical. So, it is quite a bit, less than the 3-point lighting. Okay, so what should we do next?
What other genres did you read?
Horror, noir, and, we're gonna do a shot from Sephora.
Euphoria.
Noir next, okay.
What is the word? It's the black and white one where it has the harsh.
Oh, like, I actually brought cigarettes.
It's like what we did, the first one that we did. Just got-
We're gonna go here, we're gonna go through the lines. Oh, shit. It took me a while for me to recover. Yeah, you get ready, that's all you do. That's close right in the swing.
What is that?
Oh, yes. What's the name like? Yeah.
You could put a photo.
So when you're telling your feet green, but once you take it back to the
You wanna
post,
put
then
that?
you can change the background.
So where I'm looking at is. My course is.
Yeah, it's like very animated.
Okay, so if this is a film noir, it's got a detective, a corrupt detective, and it's got a femme fatale. It's basically a kind of an evil, beautiful woman. So it's stark lighting. We've got that with the blinds. I don't know whether we want a practical because it's a different color.
That looks good right there. Like that looks.
What do we do with the?
It looks like a back window.
You wanna remove the painting? Do we wanna?
I think we need to have something in the background still.
We could pull it up
Okay.
higher and one could be standing and we could put this painting back on
I hope it's.
Yeah,
this look here.
but with the lighting on this, it looks really good. Stuff on that. It's a little crooked. There you go. So you want to move it back, the camera?
Yes, slightly. And I think we're gonna need to go back up because.
No. You want to move the legs up to?
Yeah. I'll go all the way up. What's the battery percentage?
It is at 58 right now, so we could probably do one more.
Oh, we can go all the way to 30.
Okay.
Awesome. You want to be by yourself in this scene?
Sure.
Okay, so, do we want to be, what I was thinking about is we could do movement. Or you could light your cigarette here and then walk to the window.
So.
Okay.
She was going a little bit.
So Jason, we're gonna do a panning shot. She's gonna be by herself.
Okay.
So she'll be standing here. So what I want is not wider. I want it tighter.
Okay.
And she's gonna light her cigarette or this, we can't use this. So her cigarette will be lit here, and then she's gonna walk to the window and look out.
Okay. So came over here then.
I have a lighter.
Oh, awesome, great.
The big ones.
So right here. You think?
No, she'll just,
Oh, no. I'm talking about the camera. You want the camera like right here? So it's a
you're
little
gonna
tighter.
pan.
Yeah, but do you want the camera?
No, centered.
Okay.
So you're gonna pan
Yeah.
from this side. And then, so I'm gonna follow the action. Can we look at the monitor and see if this is edgy lighting? So I imagine that she'll be down here. And then she's gonna walk right through. And then come to the window. Does this look?
Oh, that looks good. Yeah.
Looks good, but do you want to use shadow?
Yes, we want shadows. Shadows are a big part of it. So you're not gonna sit. You'll be stand. Here's your cigarette. So here's the shot. Make sure that we're not seeing, are you seeing, oh, I'm looking at this camera. Are we happy with this look?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what I think you should do is light from there, turn and walk to the light, and then we'll want to be able to see the light on your face.
Okay.
So. Do we feel like we need a little fill on her?
You want me to put this on, like 1 or 2%?
Yeah, let's see what 1% looks like.
Greg. It's 1.
Let me take off the edging.
You want me to diffuse this down even more?
I want to see what this looks like.
So I turned down the ISO a little bit, so it's at 400 right now.
Yeah. Again, ISO means nothing in post.
Oh, okay.
It's the look on the monitor. I don't know, can you strike that? I just want to see the difference. I like darker better.
Yeah.
If we were gonna do it in the light, I would do something low right here.
Yeah,
Um,
it's more of a mysterious type of character with this type of lighting right there.
I think if we were to light up like that side of her more.
Well, it's gonna be very hot when we get into the, to the window, and that's kind of what we're after.
Power switch in the corner
Yeah, I don't think this will stretch. Maybe. Upside down. Making. Too much?
What's the lowest that you can go?
That's it.
Okay, that's good. It's more of a base structure.
Are we happy with that?
That's good.
Okay, so, when you light, if you can light up your face with the, as much as you can. That would be awesome. Okay. Here we go. Roll.
Camera speed,
And well, usually. Yeah. Your whole action.
Action.
Yeah, we just wanna, I almost was hoping that she would lift the blinds a little bit. Can we, yeah, now. Yeah, let's cut. I want to close the blinds a little bit more. And, so if you could kind of maybe lift and look out.
Yes.
Awesome.
I was really good. It's like, I can't really see like.
I suspect it was Jersey still over there, but
I mean, it wasn't really noticeable.
So let's wait until she looks out and we go back.
That was perfect.
Okay, we're at starting position. No, wait, you gotta roll camera.
Stop. I was ready to like.
Let's roll camera.
camera speed,
Good. Let's do one more. So. Jason wants to rule of thirds.
the frame, so her subject, so you don't want her to be perfectly in the middle of it.
Do you want her eyes on the
Eyes,
See the line here?
Yeah,
So her top of her head disappeared, so.
yeah, I thought that.
See
Yeah.
where her head is down?
So you
Yeah,
want it,
that's there, right there.
okay. You don't want the cigarette being in the middle? or anything like that?
No, it's always the subject
Okay.
matter. So,
Like right here.
yeah,
So you don't want me to pan down to the cigarette? or-
you can, but when she stops and smokes and lights, her eyes have to be on that line.
Yep.
Okay. Last page. Okay, let's roll camera.
Camera speed. Yeah, that's great.
Okay, that's film noir. So, someone describe what we're doing with this light here. Yeah, so this is, daylight balance light. The other two lights are, incandescent, they're 5400 as opposed to 32. But we have harsh lighting, we don't have any kind of diffusion, it's straight on. And the whole goal is to get this divided light on the wall. Like, this is very film noir. In post-production, we're gonna darken this. And so a lot of the detail will go away and it'll be hard lighting, hard shadows.
What's the point of that, all that stuff? Is that just to like get like the feeling or everything?
Yeah,
Style.
it's a very stylistic thing from the 30s and 40s. Film and was such a popular genre that they just kept churning them out.
Yeah.
And it's very, this is not flattering. First of all, there are times when I darken the darks, the shadows, a lot of her face will go away, and then it'll be kind of blown out when she's, looking through the blinds. But it's the look. Yeah, so then we have a practical, and this was just to illuminate her face a little bit. This is just a little bit of a fill. So, okay, so we've done two.
Should we watch playback on this one?
Yeah.